the advanced detachment of
you can't-
of society. I foresee.
So what we are
I'm Karl
saying,
Marx, and
there's-
I foresee.
there's no such-
using the tools of analysis.
There's no such a
of
thing.
analysis.
There's no such a thing like called because these people, like, the reason why they get to recklessly utter such views on immigration is because many of them are detached from the lived realities that directly affect our people in our communities. Why am I saying that? They know that if I come from Nigeria, and we're in Nigeria, for example, I'm undocumented, and I get to impregnate someone who is South Africa, automatically South Africa says that if you are born in South Africa, 100% beneficiation goes to your child. So they do that deliberately. It's a strategy of infiltrating our economy.
So at the same time, South Africans are allowing these people to sleep with them, and at the same time,
I personally don't think South Africans are doing that.
It's economic situation.
I personally don't think South Africans are doing that because there's over 170,000 cases of rape which have been opened by our sisters, which till today
and linked to
till today, yes,
to our brothers.
Yeah, so I personally don't even think our sisters, because we can't degenerate the because that is how these comrades are saying that they are raping our sisters. These people, I can tell you, they are raping our sisters. They are even bullying our sisters in their townships. Do you know that there are many houses in our communities which has been hijacked by these people doing some of the things that we're speaking to now?
I heard that story. So wait, President.
Greetings.
Kunjani?
Shabuthi, how's it?
I'm Nandi.
Good.
Ke amogetswe, ne?
Yes.
Now, what are you tasked with in the organization? We'll get to the introduction just quickly. nje. Yes.
Tasked with fighting the capitalist establishment.
Okay.
Going aggressive in the mines, in the banks, and all strategic sectors which get to drive economic growth in our country. Precisely, of course, also speaking to the unemployment struggle or the crisis that affects millions of the young people spread across our townships, our villages, and our communities. So, of course, we're given that responsibility to, be the voice of the voiceless, to speak on behalf of young people, those that have went to school, those that are captured by drugs in our communities, our sisters who are subject or victims of gender-based violence in our townships, in our communities and universities. So we're given that responsibility to, go aggressively against the white Afrikaners as well, who get to propagate lies about white genocide in South Africa, the killing of white farmers to the American government. And so, we're tasked with that responsibility of maintaining our posture as black young people, because we personally hold a view that amid all the challenges that confront the people of South Africa, young people must have a voice. You can't be a young person in our country when there is a crisis of immigration, of unemployment, of potholes, of the instability in our municipalities, in our universities, the crime, the scourge of drugs, the alcohol abuse in our communities, and you're a young person, you don't have a say in those particular issues. So young people, of course, must have a voice. I think South Africa now, the people of South Africa have seen the effect that for the past 8 years, the government of the day, of course, which I'll not want to mention its name, So as young people, we must have a voice, and we must be able to speak onto the issues that affect our people on the ground.
Yeah, and for sure you sit in the top leadership, and what are the discussions on coalition? Because we're going there, I'd like to believe.
We are going to take over all municipalities outright.
Yeah, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, so I think that is the discussion.
Yeah,
we are not going to co-govern with anyone else.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well,
when that situation then comes, it's a hung municipality. ne, well, what's the story?
We're taking all municipalities outright.
Okay.
Like, yeah, we are taking them outright. We've not tapped into
Yeah.
a discussion which speaks into coalition, because we personally also hold a very strong view about coalition government.
Yeah.
As in its current configuration, the instability which speaks to what you are speaking onto, that you get the situation where a municipality gets to hang, a mayor gets to be reshuffled, like in less than 7 days, there's a mayor, MMCs get to be. So we've not tapped into that discussion, because I think our primary objective now is to win these municipalities outright, such that we govern 100% and deliver water and jobs to our people.
Yeah, and then Ekurhuleni, are you contesting? Not you per se, but the party, is it contesting?
We are contesting all municipalities, all district municipalities in Gauteng, Tshwane, and Metro. Is Johannesburg.
Yeah. What went wrong, Ekurhuleni? Because I hear ukuthi there's even high possibility ukuthi people won't be paid salaries.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear that, like they are hanging on a tight spot. Yeah,
it's actually the looting of the public funds that are meant for basic services for our people. Mm-hmm. So we personally hold a view that government, because the discussion now is no longer about the money itself or the budget allocation, because I know people would say that in Ekurhuleni there was a budget approval of 70.3 billion rands. But what we are saying, our argument is that what oversight mechanisms are there that oversees that revenue, which gets to be redirected to personal pockets of ANC politicians, because I think that is what we must say, that the instability in Ekurhuleni is as a result of the institutionalized factionalism of ANC politicians who have captured that municipality. And I don't want to speak about the others as well, because they are also subjecting our people into bucket toilets here in Ekurhuleni. Okay. The Red Party is subjecting our people here in Ekurhuleni with bucket toilets. So we personally hold a view that the resources which were meant to, or are supposed to deliver or speak unto the basic services, like the potholes, like Mangizalana, I almost got a puncture because of the potholes as a result of the ANC government that is currently co-governing the seat of Ekurhuleni with the DA. So, and by the way, Ekurhuleni has enormous economic potential as well.
The airport is here.
Yes, to change the lives of our people. I mean, the mines are here, the industrial parks are here, the aviation, like you've just mentioned, the airport is here. There's a major transport corridor. Businesses as well here in Ekurhuleni, which has potential like to deal with the unemployment crisis. And that is why we are going aggressively now in the private sector, because we have taken a posture that the job struggle cannot left alone to government. It cannot only be the responsibility of government to deal with the unemployment crisis in South Africa that affects young people. But the private sector must also play a role. Because if we want to bring a historical context to what I'm saying, the white minority gets to benefit the minerals of this country at the expense of our people who are subjected to drugs and alcohol. If you go to communities like Tembisa, you go to Katlehong for Sloras, you just walk the corridors of our clinics, our public hospitals, precisely where these companies get to organize themselves, you'd be shocked to realize the state of our public institutions. So we are saying that the private sector must not leave the responsibility of creating even business or economic opportunities for our people on the basis that they say that we pay government, we pay our taxes, and then at the end of the day.
But my guy, there's a lot of political parties speak that language, which minerals are being taken, there's no beneficiation, the land to us, socio-economic and what.
Sure.
What makes you different from them?
So what makes us different is the
futhi ngingaloke ngiyale nale, the ANC says the same,
yeah.
Colin says the same.
So what makes us different is that we don't impose solutions to the people. We don't impose ourselves to the people.
Okay.
So we've taken a posture as an organization that in order for us to respond effectively to the challenges that confront our people on the ground, we must go and listen to them.
Yeah.
You can't go to a community and come with a tailored-made manifesto, for example, that speaks to jobs and potholes, whereas we have not listened to the people and what directly affects them.
A superior logic.
A superior so-called logic. There's no such a thing. So we are a listening organization. The proposed solutions that we currently that I'm currently speaking unto now are the direct contributions of the listening sessions that we are constantly engaged on with the people. So when I speak about the minerals in a mine, I come from a consultation process with the people who are directly affected by the mine that gets to organize themselves in their community. When I go and say that, but you are mining coal here, and how many local people have you empowered who are residential people who stay within the vicinity of this mine? Because directly or indirectly, your operations in this mine directly affect these people. How many young people have you employed as a mine? How many young people are given proper and sustainable economic opportunities?
Why should we employ them?
Because you must, and this is what you're saying.
And when they define that thing, 30% of giving back to the community, even Nuktenga in the tuck shop, it's still in that percentage, even buying petrol to the local garage. So why should you choose for me how I should utilize a percentage?
No, we are not saying that. In actual fact, our mines, they have what we call SLP, social labor plans, which speak to the corporate social investment that they are, what do they call this? That they are obliged to do for members of that particular community. So it's not a 30% extortion type of a creative way of getting the people to respond. But on principle, we are saying that if you have organized yourself as a PTY LTD and you get to generate revenue where your kids have the privilege of going to private schools, redirect those resources and assist a girl child who does not have school shoes to go to school. Assist a girl child who does not have sanitary and dignity packs to go to school. Let your revenue speak unto the broader interests of unemployment in that particular community. Do not say that I pay government money to deal with this crisis and therefore I can drive a Maserati in a community that is subjected to thousands and thousands of potholes.
No road.
You can't say that I'm a businessman and I give government money and therefore our people must be subjected to the bucket toilets. Go to the people and say that as a company, how can I better assist you? If I can ask you, over the past 10 years, where have you ever seen a new university being built here in Ekurhuleni?
No.
The ANC has been pompous about that, but I even saw the...
Ekurhuleni is west.
I even don't like speaking about other political parties because we don't like speaking about what the other people get to do. It's fine, let them do it because we are a total different, we are unique in character. So we are saying that build these institutions that our people can be able to utilize for the things that they depend on. If there's a clinic that does not have proper functional toilets, as a private company or as a mine, or it depends in a manner on how you want to define yourself, it becomes your responsibility to go there and assist those people because our sisters get to go to those schools. We don't come from rich families. We don't come from backgrounds where I can have that privilege of going to a private institution and then and all those things. My mother is a domestic worker.
Fees are crazy,
So you need to speak unto the aspirations of the people who are subjected to those conditions. So we are going to go aggressively in terms of us making sure that we prioritize the broader interests of what affects the youth of South Africa.
The ANC is mum on immigration.
Sure.
The DA is clear. I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote them.
Yes.
And then the EFF is saying, let's document them. South Africans are saying abahambe. It's the truth.
Yes.
South Africans are saying abahambe.
Absolutely.
Nina nithini?
Who are you to stand against the will of the people? If the people are saying that
I'm the advanced detachment of
you can't,
of society. I foresee.
So what we are
I'm Karl
saying,
Marx, and I foresee.
There's no such,
using the tools of analysis.
There's no such a
of
thing.
analysis.
There's no such a thing like called because these people, like, the reason why they get to recklessly utter such views on immigration is because many of them are detached from the lived realities that directly affect our people in our communities. The reason why they come with these so-called superior perspectives is because when our people on the ground are saying that these people are selling drugs to young people, they have captured student accommodations, or properties rather, which could have been meant for student accommodation. Our sisters in our communities are used for sex trafficking. And these people, they are undocumented. Whenever they get to commit these crimes, they are not held accountable. And senior government officials are actually also in the pockets of some of these people who get to do wrongdoing. Go to the community. The people in the communities are saying that even the little spaces which could have assisted us to create our own economy, to open tech shops that government can regulate, to sell the little things, because the unemployment crisis, the ANC has failed to address that.
But these people have children now. Yeah. They have girlfriends now.
And Tina has Tina. Tina City, we stand with the people of South Africa against their fight of undocumented foreigners.
Yeah.
We are saying,
I'm a Zimbabwean.
Okay.
I met Tuntom Zodwa.
Yes.
I impregnated
They do that deliberately, by the way.
The impregnation.
Yes, they do that because they know and this is why we are saying that somehow, the Constitution of the Republic, it has its own limitations as well, which will then compel me and you to come back and sit again and discuss in terms of how can we then improve certain bylaws which will get to protect our own sovereignty as a country. Because why am I saying that? They know that if I come from Nigeria, Nigeria, for example, I'm undocumented, and I get to impregnate someone who is South Africa, automatically, South Africa says that if you are born in South Africa, 100% beneficiation goes to your child. So they do that deliberately. It's a strategy of infiltrating our economy.
So at the same time, South Africans are allowing these people to sleep with them, and then at the same time,
I personally don't think South Africans are doing that.
It's economic situation.
I personally don't think South Africans are doing that because there's over 170,000 cases of rape which have been opened by our sisters, which till today
and linked
till today, yes,
to our brothers.
Yeah, so I personally don't even think our sisters, because we can't degenerate the because that is how these comrades are saying that they are raping our sisters. These people, I can tell you, they are raping our sisters. They are even bullying our sisters in their townships. Do you know that there are many houses in our communities which has been hijacked by these people doing some of the things that we're speaking to now?
I heard that story, so way to food.
Yes, where our people have even lost the power to even hold these people accountable, because law enforcement is also not responding effectively on some of these grievances that our people are raising. They've captured all these things.
All police vans stop.
Yeah.
And Coke.
Yes. So who are we to stand against the will of our people when our people are raising some of these genuine concerns? You can't claim to be a leader of society if you don't take mandate from the people that you claim to lead. And that is why Tina City, as Africa Maibuye movement, will not want to be an organization that does not take direct mandate from the people.
So ngendlela understander ngayo the source of your actions is South Africans. The day South Africans are saying actually you know what abahlali, Maibuye will say abahlali.
Because we are leading South Africans. We are leading South Africans. We are not leading any other people that. Yes, we might be speaking onto many other issues, but the people of South Africa come first.
Yeah.
And we are not prepared to betray the aspirations, the interests, and the broader challenges that affect the people on the ground. And you know what makes Africa
including
unique?
In the diaspora.
It's because on the 19th of June 2025, before we took a posture to either form a party, because the people of South Africa are saying that, hey, the political parties maningi, and all of them are the same. So the question was, is there a need to do so? And across the country, because the incoming president of South Africa, Comrade President Nico Floyd Shivambu, has undergone has crisscrossed this country in speaking to the people. And 90% of them said, yes, we need an alternative because the ANC government in particular has failed to address some of these things for the past 32 years. And some of these other organizations are not even organizations. They're personal projects of these individuals, whom in their majority are just in the pursuit of enriching themselves using these political fiefdoms as mechanisms to extort businesses and lie to our people. So these other things, like, I would not want to speak about them, but we can characterize them as they are. We know that the EFF is a personal project. We know that Mkhonto Wesizwe is a family project that is centered around Jacob Zuma and his kids. Decisions are taken in a dinner table.
So we won't see that with who's the brother of Floyd, Brian. We won't see that.
No,
he will be the deputy appointed.
Like in my boy, because we believe in democratic centralism. Where we constructively engage. In particular, when it comes to appointments and all of those things, we sit like this in a boardroom and screen the profiles of people, and we get to speak unto their names there. There's no one who comes with a tailored list from a toilet somewhere and says that I want Kia to be a leader.
Or you were scrutinized.
You are, they do.
I'm saying you. They assessed you,
and everyone is given an opportunity to contribute in terms of the broader question, which speaks to the responsibility that the organization has identified that you need to play. So there's no leader of Maibuye who can come and say that there's a tailored made and that is why we're even saying now the organization, because we also believe that the religious institutions in our communities also have a far much more senior contribution to make. If you want to be a councillor now of Africa Maibuye movement, you must be known by all churches in your ward. You must be known by all traditional leaders in your ward. Because we don't want imposters and criminals and gangsters who masquerade wearing revolutionary caps during the day and at night. They extort people.
So all churches must know you.
All churches must know you.
All religious institutions, whether in Dumba, yini,
mele bakwazi. Lo muntu lo singamthemba. Lo muntu can be given that particular responsibility to play and represent the interests of our people. Because now, the IEC has also done a study. And then it says that 9% of the people of South Africa have confidence in ward councillors. So,
as a personal figure,
yes, our people,
irrespective of
9% of the people of South Africa have confidence in councillors. So the 91%, they're saying that these people are bars, but we don't have confidence in them because we elect you today. You start your term of office for the next 5 years. We don't even see you convening even one community meeting.
You even change locations.
We don't know. We've not heard from you. We are Puma. You go and stay in Sentin there, and you are no longer embedded in the community struggles which speak to us, and you get to preside over certain decisions in council which are not our direct mandate. So it's going to be a difficult election season because our people generally of South Africa, and legitimately so, have lost confidence in the political system. And that is why we as Africa Maibuya movement, we don't really call or characterize ourselves or define ourselves as a political party. We are a movement. That is why we speak to religious leaders, traditional leaders, even in the consultation process. A group of people, professionals came, students, the youth came, and we had a broader, far much more comprehensive engagement with, consent citizens of South Africa in terms of how do we then organize ourselves in terms of, being a true alternative that responds to the cries of the people of South Africa.
Okay. No. Yeah, no. You are well informed.
Yeah.
You are well informed, and I see passion in it. I have to give you that one. Who are you?
I mean, I'm just a boy who comes from a very humble background as well. Come from a township where some of the things that I speak unto, it's things that I interact with on a daily basis. So when I speak about someone who goes to bed hungry, it's someone that I get to interact with. If I speak about the potholes, the crisis that affects our people pertaining to, ecology which are not maintained properly, I'm that direct person. Of course, we got to pursue our academics elsewhere as well. So I am a master's graduate.
Candidate
or graduate. I don't know what they call it because I've also left that space. But pursued my academics at the Tshwane University of Technology, where I also got to lead for 2 consecutive terms as an SRC president of that institution. Because speaking about student issues at the time of NSFAS, student accommodation and all those things there. And then fighting the racism as well. The universities must rename these residences. Why must a residence, after 30 years into the so-called freedom, still be called Orion, which is the name of a daughter of an Afrikaner? Rename these things to Mandela. Call a res that you take Masik. They must do it.
Or a straight.
Because we contributed there. We contributed there. A lot, we've contributed. And this is what we are also saying, that, the SRC, which they call them student leaders or student representative councils, should be taking the perspective of higher education to a far much more senior level. Because higher education over the past 8 years under the ANC government has consistently been suffocating of these same glitches that me and you know, where on a daily basis students would cry that they are defunded
every year,
they are evicted, allowances are not being dispatched on time. The board of NSFAS is now dissolved. Now there's an administrator, corruption and all those things. They should be arguing a far much more senior perspective, one that speaks to student accommodation. And this is what Africa Maibuya is going to do, because it's us who's going to build the university in Ekurhuleni. We say that universities must build internal capacity to deal with the demand of student accommodation in South Africa. So the accommodation
must be owned by the university.
Must be directly owned by the university.
Not because company overnight,
private sector, which get to evict our students at night.
When NSFAS is not paying.
Because currently our student accommodation, the beds in South Africa are a commodity. They are sold like bread at Pick and Pay. If you come from a poor family and your mother does not or cannot afford student accommodation at Hatfield, at Pretoria, at the University of Johannesburg, at Wits, which is 7,800 a month, those people don't care. So we are saying that decommodify the beds. Universities, one, must build internal capacity with the beds that will then be able to speak with the demand of these students. And I don't hear anyone arguing like that. I thought that should have been the argument now in higher education. That if student leaders would wake up and protest, but you are closing university gates because the university cannot deal with the demand. Why are the student leaders not pushing these universities to build more beds such that the students that they are fighting for are not affected by the private companies that get to chase them at night?
They eat tea, biscuits in meetings.
Yeah.
They call each other counselor.
So that is what must happen. Like, that is what must happen. And then the corruption question is another discussion.
University also suffers from corruption.
Yeah, like, I think we need to call for a commission that must check the lifestyles of certain officials which get to preside over these universities. Because we personally hold a view now that the people are living beyond their means. Senior officials of these universities, chief financial officers, vice chancellors, are living beyond their means. And this is, however, unfortunate that there's no one who's arguing like that, because NSFAS would say that we have a deficit of 3 billion rands or of 30 billion rands to fund higher education. But who's saying that? But what oversight mechanisms have you employed to check in terms of how this money gets to be redirected? Because we personally hold the view that the money that is directly or supposed to be benefiting poor black students is being redirected to cartels. I personally hold the view that universities in South Africa as well are captured by cartels. There are untouchables and touchables in our universities. Where those who do not agree get to be, sidelined from the processes of the university, get to be victims of what we call it an establishment, which at the time is currently in charge of that particular university. So I personally think that Justice Madlanga, when he's done with the criminal interference in the criminal justice system in South Africa, maybe perhaps we need to check our universities and also go beyond the universities. Let's check even the Department of Higher Education. Let's check some of the members of parliament who get to grandstand in parliament, purporting as if they are holding these universities accountable, and yet they are not. In actual fact, they are benefiting directly. They've captured the procurement systems of these universities for personal self-enrichment at the expense of the primary stakeholders who don't have electricity in their universities, who don't have functional beds and toilets.
Parliamentarians.
And so we'll get to discuss it, but I think we need to, maybe we must come back and give context in terms of what must happen in the higher education in South Africa. But let Justice Madlanga finish that thing there. And then I heard your president saying the other day we need the commission of inquiry into black poverty. Yes.
Yeah, that one I heard. And I was like, why no one is supporting this? I think there's something.
Why are black people poor?
So poor.
For the past 32 years.
Even when they try. I'm leave Abba give up. I'm saying there are those who, like you are speaking of your masters. Do you know, Guti, there are more people who have money than you with no metric?
Yes.
What is that?
And, I think it's also a separate discussion as well, because we are saying that the current education system as well in South Africa should not measure the prosperity of how a black people gets to escape poverty and now goes toe-to-toe with the capitalist establishment. Because I personally hold the view that they just remain a drop in an ocean. So the current education system in South Africa has produced graduates as well whom are clueless in responding to
anything,
to many issues that affect us as a country. So I would not want to even say that the education system now, as a master's candidate, you are having clueless doctors, like clueless in terms of what they get to do. You know, the former outgone minister of higher education was a doctor. And there came a time where we said that maybe perhaps this doctor needs advice from us, because we personally think that she's
played.
clueless. Yeah, not played. Nobuhle. Yeah.
Unobuhle muphi, the one that was removed.
Nkabani, the arrogant, outgone. We
Which
removed
Chappies,
her.
Lower Chappies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we removed her decisively, and we told her that
Yeah.
if you don't respond to the issues
Yeah.
of what affects the students there, we're going to remove you, and we did that decisively as well. So you are having very, very clueless doctors and all those people, and who get to preside over strategic portfolios, which must then be able to be a true expression to what the people are saying on the ground. So I personally support someone who's matric and I'm a successful businessman.
Yeah.
In actual fact, me as a master's candidate, I think I have far much more to learn from him compared to what I've learned in that
So you
university.
don't subscribe
studying
Yoguti-
spiders.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't subscribe to, and if there are those people who are saying even a 350 must go according to qualifications. No
Of
qualification.
Ramaphosa, 350.
Yeah. No qualification, 350. Metric, 1,000. A degree, maybe 5 or 10 or whatever. You don't subscribe to that
No, in actual
notion.
fact, that is a total insult to our people. Like reducing our people to 350. There was someone who said that, the ANC, the way it does not take our people serious, even that 350, like, mangena ngo 10, after 10 it's done. That's
So, bekumele kwenzakaleni ke?
no, like,
Because I think kumele sikhole vele.
no, like
It's just maybe we're debating on how much.
yeah, I think now,
But
like,
ukuthi government kumele asinike imali, kumele asinike
it's
imali.
just that the problem, the instruments that get to measure poverty in South Africa are monetary instruments, and I think it's a different
It's a
discussion
different
that
discussion.
we need to have as well.
Yes.
But do not degrade the poverty of our people to 350. I personally don't think that it's sustainable as well in terms of how do you then respond to the issues of our people. How many lives is that 350 changing, or has it changed for the past 5 years? If Impupu today is so expensive, if a loaf of bread, there's a leader of some organization where they wear red overalls. I was shocked when he said he does not even know how much is a loaf of bread.
Oh yeah.
I was so shocked. How do you
It's
completely detached like that? I was so shocked. Like,
it's money at that level.
like I was so shocked. So this 350 cannot fully respond to the issues of our people. Like it cannot buy stationery for our sisters. Cannot buy dignity packs for girls. It cannot buy school shoes. Cannot do anything of substance with 350. If you go, you depend on SASSA, and that SASSA you need to take a taxi. You can't if you depend on, because obviously majority of our people still depend on public healthcare services. More clinic. No, there are far much more serious things that need you to have resources to be able to deal with. But that 350, like it's I personally think it's a total insult to black people. And that is why we are insulted by white people on social media when we say that we personally think that they need to play a role in assisting black communities in dealing with some of the social issues that affect them. They insult us there, and it's however unfortunate, but we will get them.
No, sesiyivala nje what can you say to a young person othi I've given up on these things zenu? It's better a child involved ukuthi ngihlalele baphuze lama juice la bathini malino what yes or ngizivapele or like they've given up. It's them and you.
Yeah, like and they're having like legitimate reasons on why they have to say that or why they say that.
Yeah.
Because like a young person in South Africa and you've not inherited neither land, neither a functional education system, no secured housing. Like it's legitimate, and then when you check your colleagues or your friends in institutions of higher learning, You know, white people in our universities have car parks. There are certain designated areas which are meant for white people.
Aye.
Black people are taken to bus terminals. White people have specific areas which are solemnly meant for them. And when these students say that, but you know, during the first quarter of the academic year, during registration, so every year around February, when we apply in these universities, similar queuing, we don't see white people. How do they get to apply in these public universities? Because you only see them in cafeterias eating nice food.
They do online.
Do they get special treatment in terms of how they apply in our institutions? And these are legitimate reasons from young people. Like,
But maybe they arrive early.
you know, there's no such a thing. When
I need to remember there's IB that gets their metric early
I've been a president. Like, no.
than us.
No.
And NSC.
Next. Like, everyone is treated the same. Like, everyone is treated the same. Because I got to preside over those things when I was playing that role as a president of the SRC at the time. They're treated the same. Like, all of them. Like, they're treated the same. And into abantu abaningi abangayazi is that these universities as well, but we'll discuss it. Like, we'll get to discuss that. But the message to young people would be to say that young people need to come to the party, such that we remove the criminals whom have captured the public institutions, which are given a responsibility to drive change in empilweni zethu. Alcohol is not a solution. Drugs are not a response to, you know, the poverty crisis that affects them emphakathini la bahlala khona. Crime is not the solution, or else they're going to get arrested, Bill. You know. So we cannot sit here and advance wrongdoing on the basis that we want to substitute it with our current circumstances. Circumstances cannot dictate on how you organize yourself. Mina, you know, when I went to Eskela, I did not have a place to stay for 2 consecutive years. I was doing my first qualification because I come from a very poor family. So I struggled. Like, every day I'd sleep in different rooms. Namachita, comrades, you know the culture of comrades.
Yeah.
And I'd sleep today, and then when I go to class, because me going frustrated and I'm good, but today where am I going to sleep, man?
You were not performing.
And ngapa, it's a privately owned residence. So mongena, you need to be vetted either through a student card, which then gives you access to that you stay there. And I struggled, like, but I did well, like, so I did not use my personal circumstances, and that is just one example, because I can make in many other examples as well, which, you know, had also made me to say that I need to be disciplined in this university, because I did not come here to, you know, enjoy the, you know, some of the things that get to happen at tertiary. And that is why we must also encourage young people to go to universities, get to learn a lot there. You get to interact with people who also come from different backgrounds, which might shape you as a young person coming from a township. So young people must go to school. They must go to school. They must take their academics very, very serious. And then they must challenge the systems there. They should not go there to take pictures and enjoy the pizzas that they get. They must go there and challenge the systems there, such that we're able to, you know, reproduce many SRC presidents who will make sure that there is no child that is excluded. People who will advocate for expansion of our universities and all of that. Like, I personally think that, because I trust the potential of black youth. Like those that are not even politically inclined and all of those things. Like the creative spaces, you know, I get to and I like interacting with those ones who like social creative spaces. Like, you know, I like to interact with them because you get to also learn a lot from them. And then that is why I always say to them, you know, in politics, it's not only about what you see there. Tina were there leading the protest actions, ready to take the rubber bullets. But there's far much more other spaces which you as a young person, you can come and play. Like, you know, going to an old age orphanage checking their volunteering, that abokoko badlile, do they have blankets?
When your affairs are being taken
You
care
know,
of by the politicians.
You know, an ECD center that caters for disabled, you know, abantwana abancane who are disabled. Go volunteer there. Go, you know, agriculture is the way to go. Let's go there and check the local spaces where we can start, you know, the small scale farming and all those things. And then use the political vehicle as a way of expression. Then allow us to lead the protests. We lead it. Yeah. Go volunteer in a clinic and lead the protests.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Out of fear.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Very nice conversation. I enjoyed it. Yeah.